Welcome to the SLT Podcast with myself, Ziggy Moore, and my lovely co-host.
Rena Johnson. You could have said my name for me.
No, I said my name, and then you say your name. But yeah, Rena Johnson. There we go. Best school leader, Future Ed's best school leader of the year 2025. But we haven't done one of these segments for a while, which is questions. And these are directly from teachers. But before we get on to questions directly from teachers, thank you very much for your DMs. Can you make sure you are subscribing, please? Because I suspect even the teachers that send these questions in aren't subscribing.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna really start to get onto people about pressing that subscribe button because it helps us. It's your way of developing the community, helping us to develop more of what we do. I've never said this before. This is completely as it stands. Like we fund this. This is something that we do. That's a passion project. For what we do, and all we ask is just subscribe, give us a little like, give us a little share, so we know what we're doing is liked, appreciated. We know that already from what everybody comes up to say, but people coming up to us and telling us all you got to do is just press that button and subscribe. Yeah, thank you so much. So teacher questions, and we're going to give you the harsh realities of kind of what teachers are thinking. These are real questions from teachers, school staff, ones that are kind of whispered in the staff room but maybe not said out loud. The ones that are typed, you know, when you write that email to SLT but you don't press send. And the ones that people are afraid to say publicly. So, there'll be no judgment, no quick fire fixes. There'll just be honesty from the two of us. I'll kick off with the first question. Okay, so it's around discipline and authority. And it says, why does it feel like teachers are expected to manage behavior but no longer allowed to discipline? Let me pose that to you to kick off. My safeguarding alarm bells started ringing immediately when I saw this, by the way. But yeah, go on.
I mean, discipline is subjective because culturally, discipline could be making a child face the wall, or it could be, I don't know, cleaning up the canteen because they've made a mess. I would want to know how they want to discipline children. I think, you know, it's not a secret that across the country behaviour is spiralling out of control. In schools where they have clear systems and those are followed consistently, it's less of an issue. But when you get mavericks, let's say...
Yeah, I used to be one of those. Put my hands up. I used to be one of those, but continue. I was going to get onto that.
That's fine. Who don't follow it and they're like, oh, well, they don't misbehave for me. That's not helpful, actually, because for the ECT who's coming in, they need that consistency so that if the Mavericks had been period one and they've been allowed to, you know, not get a warning or their name on the board, then they go to the ECT who's trying to implement that. It just doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the young person. It doesn't help the new member of staff. It breaks down relationships between colleagues. So I think there needs to be a general understanding and application of what discipline looks like in that school. Because when people deviate from that, it's just problematic.
And what I'm sensing from this question as well is that whatever measures are in place, they are not necessarily being. It doesn't seem to be that kind of support from SLT, if that makes sense. So perhaps there may be a 3-strike system at your school in place.
Yeah.
And 3 strikes means detention, but detentions are a joke. if that makes sense. I've been to certain places and the tensions are where kids are kind of hanging out, having a bit of a chat at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And kids don't mind doing that if it seems fairly punitive. So I definitely get that, and as I said, I held my hand up. I was one of those people who, I didn't have a lot of behavior concerns in, so I didn't have to log a lot of things on whatever behavior system I was on at the school at the time, because I was lucky enough to have fairly good behavior management. Because when I was, and I'm assuming it's going to be the same as an ECT, a lot of your behavior management comes from understanding your class and how well you plan for your class. That is, I would say, at least 1/3 of the battle won around behavior, making sure that you've planned activities that are pitched correctly at your cohort, and building relationships with your the cohort of students that you're educating. But I do see how, as you said, all right, having Mr. Moore's lesson, and then going to maybe another teacher's lesson where they're on the board, that consistency doesn't really help. So
It's tricky though, because sometimes I think that there isn't a one size fits all model. There are some children you can just kind of look at them and they're like, all right, miss.
Yeah, I get the message.
Another child, you'll have to just have a quiet word with them outside of the door, because the look will mean nothing to them. So, it is hard. But I think also, there's been a massive shift in how parents engage with schools. Certainly when I went to school, parents were more often than not on the side of the teacher.
Yeah.
And not to say that that's wrong or right, but very rarely would you have a parent going against what the teacher has said. Whereas now, schools are getting so many complaints from parents, and lots of them are AI generated. So a simple email that could have been put in like 4 lines. Heads are getting like these 6-page complaints. And it's just like, well, if a child knows, oh yeah, like my mum's going to back it for me, you actually can't tell me anything. Again, it makes it difficult for the schools. And that's not to say, that in all instances teachers are right, because we know that there are teachers who shouldn't be in teaching. That's the end of my sentence.
I think, it alludes to a situation. It alludes to a situation where you're right. Parents, guardians are much more inclined now to not only kind of support, but sometimes can even have malicious intent, and it can really disempower the school and disempower the teacher as well. So I think, speaking to this kind of, looking at this question, I think schools are now more so in a very, very precarious situations.
Definitely.
Whereas, you have to look at it from a whole school perspective, and maybe it's something your school needs to look at really as a kind of whole school issues. And this is where how you construct what you're saying may be formative as opposed to critical, where it feels like you're criticizing senior leadership or the behavior system. You can say, listen, you're seeing where how can we make steps to improve? Because at the end of the day, as a teacher, and you're probably not going to be the only teacher, and sometimes it's SLT as well, because SLT are more exposed than you. As teachers on the ground, oftentimes you don't have to deal directly with the parents. Whereas if you're front-facing SLT, you're having to deal with those parents who are coming down, and like they're quite heightened as well. So by bringing this up in a kind of constructive, formative way, it may be helpful. It may be something you could develop in a CPD. You could work with the behavior lead and maybe looking at data and ways to eradicate certain things. So an example I'm aware of in a school is they eradicated detentions because they found when they drilled down on the data, it was the same people who were getting detentions for the same things. It didn't have an impact on lateness, and it had a minimal impact on behavior. And what tended to happen is when students found out at the end of the day that they received a detention, they became heightened. And a lot of the incidents happened, a lot of the behavior incidents happened after school when the detentions were announced.
Oh, okay.
So getting rid of, so really kind of drilling down on the data, getting rid of it, and then focusing more on positive behaviors. That is really where you could make a difference. Because discipline is really, as you said, it's about structure and it's about boundaries. And the most vulnerable students need the clearest boundaries. Working in an SEMH school, the most vulnerable students, and AP and SEMH school, most vulnerable students need the clearest boundaries. So you helping to enforce that in your school is more helpful than you can. And I hope you're in a school where your voice can be heard. They shouldn't feel like kind of it's you alone negotiating. It should be kind of a whole school thing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. And, I think it's particularly in secondary, I think it's important to have conversations with young people so they understand why there has been a repercussion to their action. Because, again, in my day, children did as they were told. There was no negotiating. You didn't ask why. If you were reprimanded for something, that was the end of it. But I think, when I've spoken to teenagers and they're like, oh, miss, and da-da-da-da, I'm like, well, this is what life is when you reach adulthood. Like, if you don't, you're complaining, oh, but I didn't do my homework, I'll do it tomorrow. When you grow up, if you don't pay your council tax, somebody is going to come and knock on your door.
Council tax.
No, but it's the same principle, isn't it? You can't get away with not doing things or doing certain things and there's no consequence. Yeah, so I think it's important to have those conversations. So even if they don't like it, they can see, it's not because you are
Horrible,
being spiteful or, you're just trying to set them up for adulthood.
Yeah. No, I hear it. I do think there is, if this is a consensus, it's not just you, a consensus, there definitely needs to be a conversation around a behaviour policy in that school.
Yep.
And as opposed to looking at punitive punishments, and sometimes, and let's be honest, teachers, and I can hold my hands up, a lot of times it's not about your ego, man. It's not about your ego. I can't remember who I saw speaking about this.
Hussain.
Was it? Yeah. Yes! It was on our podcast. Yeah. It was on our podcast where Hussain has, big him up, yeah. That's hilarious.
It's all right, Hussain, I remembered.
Please go back to...
Oh, no, I wasn't even here.
Yeah. Please go back. No, because it was profound, because he was just like,
really was.
Follow the behaviour policy, do what you need to do, and just check your ego, yeah? And Hussain hit it on the head. Saying, I'm getting old. I'm like, what amazing piece of content was I watching? Oh, yeah, it was the SLT podcast. That's exactly what it was. Our amazing guest, Hussain from... So, brilliant. All right. So, yeah, just sometimes check your ego at the door. Quote from Hussain. Beautiful. All right. Let's move on to the second question. And this ties into an earlier episode, but I'm not going to give it away. Right. I work hard. Well done. I get good results, but my career has stalled. What am I missing? Can I start on this one?
Go for it.
You have a lot of really kind of hard-working teachers who put the hours and put the graft in and so on and so forth, yeah? And they assume that, I don't know, somebody's going to see them, or schools, unfortunately, we're humans. It's humans that are working in schools. We're not going to see it all. Yeah? And sometimes we naturally, what do they say about familiarity breeds contempt?
Oh, absolutely.
And it sounds harsh, where if you're the person who, yeah, we can rely on you, you're there every day, so on and so forth, you almost kind of fade into the background. If you do not have an advocate, yeah, you must, I've said this, in your school, in your life, you must have somebody, especially in a school, who advocates for you. Yeah. Now, going into senior leadership, I have seen how this has changed people's career trajectories. Yeah. I have an example of two teachers. Yeah. Who, how would I word this? Two teachers at a similar level.
Okay.
Yeah. Who maybe had kind of similar attitudes in regards to teaching, maybe young, a bit brash, so on and so forth. That's a bit similar to me, that maverick type teaching, yeah. Maybe weren't necessarily coachable, or didn't really want to hear it, yeah. However, one of them took heed and became a little bit more coachable.
Okay.
And in that teacher becoming more coachable, he has been able to achieve in the past year levels of responsibility and levels of acknowledgement that are now building towards his career.
Okay.
He could, because you can see the trajectory of his career and what he wants to go into, and how we're building towards that. Yeah. And it's really beautiful to see. And he's placed the right people around him, and he's had the right conversations, and he has the right people advocating for him. The other one hasn't.
Okay.
And having the right, positioning yourself and having the right people advocate for you is so powerful. I can say in my career, and I've said this out loud, yeah, without the right people in your corner advocating for you, yeah, you're in some serious problems. You are in some serious problems. I have no problem calling out names on the podcast of the
Not
people.
again.
Yeah, no, I'll say them again. We've had a previous guest on here, Mr. Gary Phillips.
Oh, in a positive light. Sorry.
No, we talking about these are the people who and they still do, even though Gary hasn't been my head teacher for like over 10 years. Yeah.
Gosh, has it been that long?
No, it's longer than that. Yeah. He still coaches me, guides me, advises me, so on and so forth, career next steps, so on and so forth. My current head teacher, Melissa, yeah, huge advocate for my. I wouldn't have gone into huge advocate, huge, ridiculous, like that. Yeah. If you don't have, but I've had conversely where I'm working this and nobody even recognizes me. No, cares what he's doing. You with me? I've had both sides. But if you don't have somebody who is advocating for you, and you're not positioning yourself in a certain way, it's going to be a struggle. Over to you. What are your thoughts?
I genuinely believe that everything has its time. So the second person that you were referring to, so you deemed them to, they're not coachable. I'm inclined to ask why. Just give me one of their traits that.
What I'll do is I'll put myself in their position and I'll say what my trait was that made me not coachable. As
Okay.
opposed to, and it goes back to what Hussain the great. Yeah, we need to bring him one again.
The great.
No, a lot of times it's your own ego. You won't get over yourself. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to kind of get over yourself a bit. That makes sense. Sorry. Yeah, you have to get over yourself.
Is it arrogance? Do they feel like they don't need coaching?
Yeah, I think it's a book. I think you're young. You're young. You're kind of. Do you know what I mean? You're young. You're a male. You're
Okay, so they're not coachable yet.
yet. Yeah. Because I wasn't, but got there in the end.
Look at you now. Yeah, I think. Like I said, everything has its time. I think people or teachers specifically have a linear view of what progression looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's head of department, then it's assistant head teacher. Oh, no, you've got actually a different one. There's another layer. There's associate assistant head now, isn't there? Then it's vice principal, then it's head, then it might be CEO. I think that if you're feeling stagnant...
No, they say they weren't feeling stagnant. They're saying, what am I missing? What is the area that I'm missing? Like, I'm doing the work, I'm grafting, but what am I missing?
I would say clarity. Because you can work hard, but if you don't have a goal of where you're trying to reach, you can keep working hard for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
You have to be working towards something. Alongside doing your best for those children that you're serving, you've got to have it in mind. Okay, I don't know, I want to be a published author. Like, you have to have...
Almost work backwards, you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
But if you don't have the right... If you're not having the right conversations with the right people, because something can seem very difficult to you, yeah? And you can speak to somebody who goes, oh yeah, you just have to do and you're like, oh my gosh, how comes I didn't see that? Or something that seems so heavy into somebody else, they can just see it like that. Like, this winds me up about my current head teacher. Myself and other assistants, we'll be busting up our brains about something, we just can't, how do we... And then eventually, like, we'll go kind of cap in hand, like, we can't figure this out. She go, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. You with me? And we go, oh yeah. It will be a whole plan created in like 10 minutes or 15 or 20 minutes, and having somebody to kind of coach you and lead you down to almost reverse engineer it for you and do those next steps, I think is so important. And this is where I'm gonna speak about. We spoke about in the last something like a course like Aspiring Heads or other CPDs that can kind of point you down the right one. You've also got leaders like us as well. We had Elizabeth on previously. They really open up your eyes, and they provide you with kind of mentors and coaches for what your next steps are. And you can speak to people and have those conversations. There are so many different CPDs, courses that you can do to shift your mindset.
So therein lies your answer. They're missing conversation. Because I think a lot of people shy away from coaching because it feels like another commitment, that they have to check in with someone at a set time and date. But it could be as simple as just having conversations with different people. Maybe they're just quite insular in their role because they're working so hard.
And
it's good to talk.
It's good to talk. So just to kind of connect to conversations we had in a recent pod, you've got CPDs, you've got places like Aspiring Heads, Step Up Network. They offer amazing CPDs and places where you can network and begin to have conversations. And almost, I feel like you're in a bit of a rut. Almost kind of get out of that rut. So I think networking and coaching is almost like the answer for you. Yeah. All right. Final question, and this is one we get a lot. We hear about this a lot. This is kind of around teacher retention. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Staying. Should I stay or should I go? Doom, 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 doom. Sorry. I'm showing my age there, innit? Yeah. I love teaching, but I'm tired tired. I remember my daughter when she was, she goes, Daddy, I'm tired. I'm tired. She's 22 now, so Daddy, I'm tired. I love teaching, but I'm tired. How do I know whether to push through or simply just move on?
I think if they are no longer finding it rewarding because they're so exhausted, then it's time to move on, because you won't be able to give the children your best if you are in this constant cycle of fatigue. If it's just, it feels like a momentary blip, then I would say push through. You know, autumn term. Autumn term's always the hardest term.
We know.
Yeah. So yeah, if it's like, okay, you know, it's cold, it's dark outside, it's the end of year, I'm tired, but spring term will feel better, then keep pushing. But I think, yeah, teaching has changed over the years. You didn't used to feel so tired, but I think that's because...
It's just because we're just not getting old.
That's partly it.
I think that's what it is.
That is partly it. But also, I think that children have got more complex, like, societal needs.
Agreed.
That you're not just teaching your subject area. You know, you have to be aware of what children are going through in your classroom. You've got to be sensitive about topics that you broach in case it, you know, is a trigger for some young children. You have to adapt your teaching so that, you know, if it's mixed ability and children have got additional needs, that all of the children are catered for. Like, there's a lot. It's not how it used to be, and I think that's why teachers are feeling quite drained by it all. And that's just because, you know, teaching's almost like you play a role. You've got to be upbeat. Even if you're having an off day, you've got to be like, right, come on, guys, title and date, and, you know, all that good stuff. That's aside from the writing reports and the parents' evenings and, you know, governor reports and all the other things that come alongside teaching. So I think that's why it just feels like an awful lot right now.
No, I get it. I think you're right. If it's kind of short-term tiredness, that's one thing. But if it's like real long-term depletion that you can feel is, you really need to assess. Really need to assess if this is for you. And when I say this, it might not necessarily be teaching. It may be this role. It may be this school. It may be this phase. There are a lot of things that can really change. So, for example, I, if I'm going to speak about myself, which I've told I do a lot. Yeah, I felt like that around mainstream school. School. And when I transitioned into alternative provisions and SEMH, that shift, that really changed. It may be, I remember working in one kind of London borough demographic, and it just wasn't giving. It wasn't doing it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So changing roles and changing schools. And also there are things that are education adjacent that aren't necessarily in the classroom.
Yep.
One could explore. There are a lot of roles. So, for example, depending on what your kind of specialism is, there are roles within local authorities that they have quite large education departments.
Virtual schools is a good one.
Virtual. Just give us a little bit about that, please. Tell us. Because I've seen it, like head of a virtual school. I was like, oh, so it's not real. But no. So
don't be ridiculous.
I'm teasing. Just kind of give us a little sprinkling for our.
So virtual schools is for children looked after. And so, I don't know, as the teacher, you might be asked to contribute towards a PEP meeting. And so it's not front facing, you're not based in a school, but you would go into a school to visit the young person and attend their meetings. You would liaise with social care. You would liaise with their DSL. So you still have your hand in this kind of traditional school system, but you're still helping like a young person, achieve their best, because their statistics, children in care or previously in care, are worse than their peers. So I think that could be quite a fulfilling role.
Their outcomes are.
Yeah.
I've seen some roles come up where it's like, that looks really interesting, with local authorities, with just other organisations.
Bernardo's.
But just like, I've seen ones where it's like football clubs have advertised, like run our education thing here, or like museums, like where you curate their educational departments, or tours, or there are lots of different roles that are education adjacent, where your skills are so just the skills you learn in teaching, day-to-day teaching, you have no idea how transferable they are, even if you stay within the sector, outside of the sector as well. But if you decide, you know what, I would like to stay within the sector, there are lots and lots and lots of things that you could go on and do, and maybe that's kind of worth exploring as well. Definitely worth exploring, because I don't think it's something that's spoken about enough, or how many roles there are just within the sector. It's so big of education, outside of that classroom, head of department, ST, head teacher, executive head, blah, 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 blah. So many. Have a little peek. What I would say as well is have a little peek on, I'm going to say the dreaded word, Rena's Kryptonite, LinkedIn.
Oh my word.
Have a little look on there. Just set your filters just for jobs. Not to say you're looking, but you'll begin to see all of these jobs that are coming up. You're like, oh right, oh wow, oh really? I didn't know this existed. And something may pique your interest to the point where you would like to apply. So let's be honest, burnout it is a real thing, but sometimes, especially like now, like this, that we're now end of term 2, but I think the two most difficult terms, like, don't let the burnout affect your decision making. Don't let the burnout affect your decision making. It may be a sideward step, it may be a move, but I think that's all I'll say on that one.
Agreed. For once. Goodness.
No, it's more than once. Don't try it. Okay, so that's another episode. Just so you know, you can catch us on more than one platform. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we are on YouTube. We have our Instagram, and we have our TikTok. Yeah, I'm gonna say this again. Focus on Spotify, Apple Music, and particularly YouTube. Please subscribe. I'm like, even me asking, we're talking about ego. We're talking about ego before, me asking goes against a lot of the core principles, coming from a Caribbean background where you're not supposed to ask and beg, and like when you go to, like your mum says, when you go to somebody's house and they ask you, are you hungry? And your belly can be rumbling, you don't accept the food. That's if they ask you. If you ask for food, so that's the programming that I'm coming with. If you don't know, when you go to somebody else's home and they offer you food, you're not supposed to take it. But the worst thing you can do no matter how hungry you are, is ask for food. Like, oh, I'm hungry. Could I have some food, please? Oh my God. When you get home, you're probably better off running away on the way home, yeah, than waiting for the consequences than when you get home. So I contextualize that by saying it's difficult for one to ask, and I am asking. I'm putting my hands out and I'm saying, press the subscribe button. Yeah, please. I've given you that whole kind of enjoyable analogy just to say, press the subscribe button. 2026, we have a lot of exciting things coming up. We've got a lot of guests. We've had quite a few people asking. I love that. Oh, can we come on the show? Like, yeah, don't worry. We got
There's
you.
a
So
waiting list.
there is a bit of a waiting list. So if you have been invited and you are considering coming on, please. It isn't this isn't 2020. What's it? Yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm just letting you know that. Yeah, please. So, it's our Q&A. And please, again, like, subscribe, follow, and we appreciate all of our listeners, all of our followers. Yeah. Take care.